It's DBJ. Who else would it be? Anyway, I'm going back to my old series of Bring Back the Magic, BBTM, Bring Back the Magic. And the idea of Bring Back the Magic, for me, started out as, for those who haven't, yes. Okay. Well, that's different. Yes, I know. Can't do that. Anyway, the idea of Bring Back the Magic, I'm not going to edit this. I'll just leave it as it is. The idea of Bring Back the Magic was to take the simple, common things that we've always seen in classic D&D and bringing it up to date by but not just improving it, but using that old system and using the classic elements and bring it into today's games. Because there's a reason why they were classic and why we use them, and why we should not get rid of them until we've exhausted their classicness. Okay, so I mean, I talked about like cleric healing spells and potions and things like that. So this one is about poisons, and yeah, I'm going to go back to one a little bit about potions. I was trying to figure out a way to add to the discussion, because we had a long, me and another commenter, Silasha, had a great thread going on about how to develop and overdevelop a setting where potions have run rampant. Well, Tabletop Gaming with Juice has been doing a review on a Dungeon Master's Guide about poisons and about how unique they are. I don't own the new D&D 5th edition Dungeon Master's Guide, and chances are I'm probably not going to buy it. I don't have anything against it, and it's not because I don't want to own it. It's just a financial thing. I just don't feel like it. I have a lot of game systems I think I can translate from. If I hear more about it, I might just break down and call myself stupid and take back what I just said. It's not a big deal. But my point being is that they had some unique poisons and toxins and diseases. And a lot of ancient mythology and fairy tales and literature involved characters being poisoned and having diseases. So it made me think, like, and drinking potions and things like that, love potion number 9 and, the pinprick and eating the poisoned apple and all these kind of things, and how in many ways we've gotten away from that. So I just wanted to give my 2 cents on using potions and poisons and diseases as a bring back the magic element. All right, one thing is using any of those as a catalyst to start a game, and one of the most common ones is the murder mystery. Player characters are invited to a dinner party and someone dies, and we realize that they were poisoned from a drink. A noble family finds one of their noble progeny poisoned, dead, and the player characters are hired to discover who did it, because they don't want to alert their enemies, and there's no one else they trust. And because the player characters are outsiders, they're the only ones that everyone says, okay, we're going to trust their opinion, because they, for good or bad, they have no teeth in the game. They have nothing to gain by the success or failure of this, so we're going to trust what they say. The murder mystery is a classic one. And using poisonings, let's say we always have the classic village, and one by one important individuals are poisoned or killed. You can also go the opposite way. Commoners are dying from a poison or even a disease or a plague, and the nobility could care less. They're just commoners, whatever. It doesn't matter. They're doing it. It's their own fault anyway. But the player characters get involved in it. The discovery of those things can bring many elements to the table. So you can have an example of where, why was the person poisoned in the first place? as opposed to being killed some other kind of way. How were they poisoned? Was it something in their drink? Was it a pinprick? Was it an assassin that dribbled poison down like a ninja dribbling poison down a string into their mouth while they slept, as the assassin crouched above their heads in their own bedroom? Why and hows are really good. But also, what was the poison? Was it the poison of the poisonous snakes of a Medusa? Was it a poison taken from creatures that plague the outer realms? Was it a poison that's a specialist from drow poison, dark elf poison? Was it a poison you can only get from the underworld? And the local crime lord is like, it was my poison, but I would never authorize its use, ever. I want that assassin found just like you are. I have a somewhat tenuous but equalized relationship with the nobility. They're going to crush my criminal empire if someone doesn't find out who authorized this assassination. So you can have all those elements. You can have an element of the story where the player characters figure out not only which poison was used, but how it was created. Where did they get the components to create it? Like the components to a spell. You know, if the player characters can find out where these components were gathered, they could trace back who did it. Maybe some of these components were found in the dark wood, and when they go into the dark wood, there's a druidic circle with protecting the dark wood with their mystical, animals, and the player characters must convince the druids that they are not here to disturb the dark wood, but want to know what other what other activities transpired by strangers in the dark wood, and that we are not enemies of you, but just friends, and we want to find out who these people are as well. Maybe the poison was stolen from a wizard's tower, and the alchemist's wizards, like, someone broke in, and it's probably you player characters, and a fight ensues, and they say, well, no, it wasn't us, it was someone else. We're going after that person. We're not friends of them. We're actually trying to discover who it was. You can do all these things with it. But let's rewind a little bit. Maybe the poison doesn't immediately kill the victim. Maybe they are poisoned and they have 3 days before they're dead. And their veins turn blue and it's visible under their skin. Or the poison is slowly turning their fingers and their toenails black. And as the black starts to creep up their body, when it hits their heart, they're dead. They can have all kinds of effects if it's used as a potion of polymorph. In 24 hours, this potion will turn them permanently into a frog. Or they've drunk the potion and they are turned into a frog. And if 24 hours or more passes by, the prince will permanently be a frog. And the only way to cure it is, you get the point. So, you can use poisons and potions as ways where it's like a beat the clock. Something happens to someone and the player characters must solve it. It can also be a beat the clock effort where more and more victims are showing up, and if we don't cure this, it will get out of hand. So a plague is ravaging a town, and if they don't stop the plague, it will kill everyone. Like, your classic zombie infestation. More and more people are being infected by zombies, and if we don't stop it, we need a cure disease. Of course, the clerics and the cure disease, and maybe the clerical order is like, yeah, we could cure it. But why should we? You're suffering from your own sins. We're going to allow the disease to run rampant and kill you all. And so, of course, the first bad guy you're thinking is, well, maybe someone in the clerical order caused or summoned this plague, and they want to see everyone wiped out. Well, of course, that would be the obvious thing. So maybe it isn't them. Maybe the nobility themselves has caused this wide rampant plague, just so that the clerical order could be blamed, so that the clerical order could be wiped out, because the clerical order is against the nobility in the first place. Look, I'm throwing out story ideas here off the top of my head, but you get the point. Poisons, diseases, potions make great motivators And the reason they make great motivators is because they are easy to come upon by the average citizen without having to, excuse me, wow, without having to metagame, without having to fudge how common people were able to come upon this mystical element. It's harder for a common person to say, hey, I can cast a fireball, or a common person to say, I have the power of an ogre and I'm going to take revenge on my enemies. But a potion, you know, an alchemist comes up with a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde potion. Well, wouldn't that be like a giant strength potion? Could be. Could be interpreted that way, especially if it has some really nasty side effects. Lastly, I will say about using potions and diseases and poisons is that what if the player characters are affected by it? They're going through the dark wood. They eat the berries of a tree. Oh, they taste awesome. Every bite is a new great flavor. But unfortunately now they're infected. And they have 24 hours to find a cure before they die. And one of these berry trees grows out of their chest from their dead body. So you can have a beat the clock. And you got to be careful with overusing that. You use that more than once in a game and it just becomes old. But a beat the clock system where the player characters ingest something or are pinpricked, they are poisoned by a wild animal from the dark wood, and now they have to run around finding a cure before something happens to them. It can be useful where they have to gather components, or the player, lycanthropy or lycanthropy, becoming a were creature is that's a really popular one. And if the player character is completely transformed, they become NPCs. Or, you want to throw in a wild card, they succumb to it and fail, and now they really are lycanthropic, were tigers or were rat or, were boar or something like that. That can be a little power gamey because it can both be a power gaming element and or a way for the game master to take control away from the players, both of which I despise. So, you got to be careful with the lycanthropy thing, the whole lichens becoming a lichen and the player characters suffering from that. But it can be a really good story if they're willing to allow one player to maybe take the spotlight and all the other players are there to help them / fight off the mob that wants to kill the player character because they are interested in saving the player character's life. You have all kind of interesting elements that way to use. And lastly, using poisons and disease, they are a common trope in a lot of literature and mythology and fairy tales, so don't overlook them. There's a lot of creatures. If you read the fine print, there's spiders and yellow musks and what's it from the Zill, Xill. It's a extraplanar creature that inserts eggs that grow inside of victims. And heck, a couple of NPCs, they're traveling with the players or infected. Maybe one of the player characters is attacked by a Zill and is infected and is just like, oh no, I don't have the ability to heal this. Or they're infected and they kill the infection being eggs, and now they've created an enmity from the NPCs or creatures that have infected the player characters by thinking that you killed my offspring, now we are coming after you. It's another way of looking at it. So anyway, throwing out some ideas about poisons and diseases and toxins for Bring Back the Magic. I hope to do some more videos on Bring Back the Magic and maybe redo some of my old videos. But anyway, as always, signing off. Be creative. Don't be destructive. Thank you, all of you who have liked and subscribed and view my videos and things. I appreciate it. I do not I don't want to pander to people to do those things. I'm not saying it is wrong for others to do so, but I just do this just as a side gig. I don't plan on monetizing or anything like that. I just appreciate I'm very appreciative of all the positive feedback, the interaction I have out there in the RPG world, RPG community, and thanks guys for just giving me all the fuel for doing what I do and to add to the hobby, and I hope I'm adding to yours. So I hope that I am the one who's being creative enough to give you things, and I am not destroying anything that doesn't deserve to be destroyed in your world, and I'm not causing too much anger out there for those that are like, oh, that dude, that DBJ, he's an effing a-hole for destroying everything that I hold dear. I don't know. Hope I'm not that guy. See ya.